Hey guys, welcome back to Voice Bootcamp. In this particular lab, I'm going to show you how to configure peripheral gateway for call manager. In our lab, we're going to have two call manager cluster, one in USA, San Jose, and other one will be from India. Both call manager cluster will have agent. However, the call manager cluster where located in US will be acting as a routing client. But the call manager clusters that we have in India is not going to be act as a routing client, meaning that he is not going to send a request to the ICM server. So first we're going to do the US side, and then we're going to configure the India side later in the lab. So I'm going to first log into the admin server, and what I'm going to do is use the configuration manager is to create an agent desktop settings. So under tools, list tools, I'm going to say agent desk settings, and I'm going to create a first desk setting. So we'll call this US desk settings for agent. Okay, 20 seconds. A ring no answer, log out, non-activity timeout. 60 seconds. If they don't do any activities, they're going to sign out. Work mode, an incoming call, we can just leave it as its default for now. Auto answer, allow international long distance calls, and enable Cisco mobile agent. Okay, so that is for the US agent. The next one I'm going to create is going to be for India. $20 seconds, ring no answer, longest IDV, we'll keep it 120, double the time, auto answer, logout reason required, we're going to say idle reason required if you know the reason why they're going idle. Sometimes when sometimes you pay for the agent service in India, so therefore you want to find out why they want to log out or why they want to be in idle mode. They should only be able to call local private. They're not going to be able to make a much call, so we're just going to keep it as it is. Alright, so we get two agents as desk settings. So that's the first task that you need to do before you add any sort of PBX. Okay, next step is to go to Explorer Tools, go to PG Explorer, and we're going to create a call manager, a PG for the US cluster. So add a PG. It's a PG name. We'll call this US CUCM 1. Client type CUCM. And select the CUCM. We're going to call this US cluster. Location 1810 East Sahara Avenue. Desk settings, we're going to choose US cluster, US desk settings. If agent has multiple line control, we're going to say single line or all line. So if you're going to say all line, it says enabling all agent phone line control for peripheral requires that certain values must be set correctly for all phones used by agent. Verify the following values are set correctly for every line in each phone device or CTI port that an agent might want to use, such as a busy trigger must be set to 1, maximum number of calls must be set to 2. Modification of these values can be done in a bulk, or you can use individual changes. Also, changes in the agent line control settings will not take effect until the PG is restarted. Do you wish to continue? So I'm going to say yes. I just have to remember that these settings are set accordingly. Alright, non-ACD line impact. What happens if there's a call coming non-ACD line? We can say the available agent stays available, or they go to not ready mode. So that means that when there is a second line on the phone, and if there's a call coming in, like say from your wife or from your husband or from your children or something emergency, sometimes personal call could come in, you what status, what do you want the ACD line to be in a state mode? So I'll say let's go to not ready mode, because if I am talking to someone personal, I wouldn't want to be able to receive calls from the queue. But of course, that is something you have to look at whether this goes against the policy of your call center. Alright, because this US client cluster is going to be the routing client, I'm going to say enable post routing, and then click on the routing client tab, and I'm going to call this US UCM CM routing, or TCL routing client. Again, you can use any name you want, doesn't matter. I'll say CUCM1 RTCL routing client. Okay, so that's pretty much all I need for now. So I'll go ahead and save. And as soon as I save, you'll notice that this number shows up right here, and these are very important numbers. We will need them when we configure the PG. So I'll keep this page open. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the peripheral server, peripheral gateway. In this is the server that is acting as PG server 55, and you can see the computer name is PGA. So we're right now on PGA, and what we want to do first here is to log into the call manager from this particular page. So we want to go to application, go to plugins, okay, so we will download the GRP client. So right here, Cisco GRP 64-bit client. So let's go ahead and download that. We're going to save that. Now this must be done only on the PG server. Okay, so while this is downloaded, I'll go ahead and run. So while this is running, I'm going to copy that file to the site B server. Now you can also log into site B and then download it from call manager directly. Okay, so while that's copying, I will go ahead and complete the installation. Put the IP address of your call manager TFTP server. Okay, so that's being installed. We'll go to site B. So at site B server, I will do the exactly same thing. Now our help desk number is going to be this 1-877-814-2000, or a local number 1408-20Y 2000. So we're going to configure this number into our call manager. So now that site B GRP Client has been installed, or is being installed, so we'll go back to site A, log into call manager. We can close this, and what we're going to do now is going to create an end user account called application user. We'll call this PG user. Okay, so PG user, let's call PGA, USPG user. Password VoiceBootcamp. We're going to associate this user with all the agent phone. So in our case, these are my agent phone, except the first two. Click on save. Scroll down until you see permission, and we want to give them privilege to the standard enable, CTI enable. Now from time to time we may have to come back and provide more more privileges later. Alright, so now that user is created, called USPG user, next step we're going to create a CTI route point. This CTI route point is going to be called help desk. Save, and we're going to add a DN number. This DN is going to be the subset of that number which search saw 2000. So you can call it help desk line, blah blah blah, all good, all good. Alright, now that the username is created, next step is to go back to that application user we created earlier, USPG user. We're going to add that help desk right there as well. So the help desk should be part of the control device. Okay, so the call manager portion is now completed. You have, if you go to device phone, you should have agent phone. As you can see, the agent 1 to 6, and their phone MAC address starts from last 2 digit 53 all the way to 58. So that should be part of your associated account. Next step we are going to do is go to UCCE tools, click on peripheral gateway. Now this is done on the PGA, remember, PGA server. So run the peripheral gateway. Okay, so it picked up the instance. We're going to add instance PG. It's going to be duplex, going to be for call manager, and it's going to be PG number 1. That number 1 is within the range of 1-4 that we have created in our router. Now logical controller ID should come from the number that you see here on the admin server, 5000. Then we click on add. We're going to say select CUCM, PIM number 1, enable, we'll call this USCUCM 1, peripheral ID 5000, because that's the number that is coming from right here from your admin server. And then here the extension length, obviously all our extensions are 4 digit. Service is going to be IP address of our call manager 21. The username USPG user, and the password of course was VoiceBootcamp. So this is where you define what codec you want to use for mobile agent. Obviously when you're mobile agent, you prefer to use G729. Click OK, next, It's going to ask you which site is a preferred site. Obviously site A. The router is local, they're not across the WAN. The site B is also local, it's not across the WAN. Now this is important, private interface. So PG's private interface is going to be, first of all, let's validate to make sure the private interface does exist. Is 192.168.10.55, and we want to make sure we can ping the other side 65. Alright, so I'm going to go to PGB, check the network settings. Okay, so far looks good. Okay, so now it's pinging, didn't do anything, just had to wait. So 65 can ping. I want to make sure I can go to site B, that I can ping 192.168.100.55. that is the IP address of my site A. Alright, so far good. I'm going to go back to PGA where I was. I'm going to provide the IP address of the private interface 55. Try to use domain name whenever it's possible, because in case if you change your IP address you may have a problem. Alright, now visible interface of the pub is 164.55. 65 for the B. For router is going to be different, of course, because it's on a separate different server. 51 61 for 51 for high and low. Okay, so this is the way it's supposed to be, and as you can see, PG visible A is 55, PG visible B is 65, router visible A 51 for high, and the router visible B will be 61 and high will be 61 as well. They're all from the same subnet. So click next. You are pretty much on the way. While that's being done, we'll go to PGB, do exactly the same thing. Add a peripheral gateway. It's going to be site B, duplex, call manager, oops, and continue. 5000 PIM USCM CUCM1 5000 4-digit. So exactly the same. And we're going to choose G729. Okay, so it is important that this username is actually correct, so you want to be able to make sure that that is the case. So you can go to double check it under user management, application user, USPG user, site B, blah blah blah, all good. Alright, so next it is site A preferred, everything is local. Okay, copy, copy, and copy. Okay, 61. Pretty much all done. Next, go back to site A right now. We want to go ahead and start the process. So we're going to go finish. Next step is to add a CTI server, that is for Finas, duplex, site A, ICM system ID 1. This is the default port for connection for client, like Finas 2 will point to this particular port number. PG is public interface. CGI is private interface. And CG visible interface, so which is pretty much the same as this, because both PG and the CG are on the same server. CG is the CTI server. Go back to site B. We're going to start the node and we're going to add site B CTI duplex. Site B, as you can see, automatically picks it up. Port number remains this. I think it's 42. So public, CGI is private. Okay, so on site B, we're going to start the process and exit. So on site B, start the process, on exit. So now if I go to PG server and I want to see if my process is actually registered or not, so I can go to start program, go to unified UCCE tools, go to system CLI. It's going to ask me for username, so I'm going to say corp / administrator, password, and then instance. There's only one instance, so you can just hit enter. If you had a multiple instance, then you have to create define the instance name, like VCB. So while I'm here, I'm going to type show process, and as you can see, my peripheral is active. JGW, basically Java gateway, JTAPI gateway 1 is active. Then PIM1 is also active. That means authentication was proper. Now it is showing that CTI server 55 is shut down. We have to find out why. Okay, it's now idle. Go to B. Make sure both servers is running. We will go to tools, system CLI. Okay, both of them are idle right now. I can idle. You can see CTI server idle. I'll go back to site A, refresh it. As you can see, everything on site A is active. Okay, so now on site A, we're going to go back to the admin server for the configuration manager, and the next thing we're going to do is under list tools, we're going to say call type. All the call type we're going to create in Contact Center Enterprise for this lab is going to be voice call. So we're going to call it a voice CT call type. Save. Close. The next thing we're going to do is create a dial number. Retrieve, add, choose the routing client. So the routing client will be UCCE1 or RTCL. Cisco voice domain. The routing client is going to be 2000. That is the number, part of your call center help desk number. The customer VCV. And dial number mapping, we're going to add that voice CT. Click OK. Now, before I click on save, let's go back to call manager. Let's go to PG. Go to the call manager, device, CTI route point, and you should see that this CTI route point right here, help desk, is status is none, IP address is none. So if I go back to that main and click save, as soon as I saved, I will go back to the call manager, click on refresh it. Voila, as you can see, it is now registered with the PG server. So how do I know it's registered to PG? If you look at the help desk, look at the IP address of the server is registering with .55. That is your site A. So at this stage, this is my site A server. For some reason, if my PG1A goes down, I should see this IP address right here change from 55 to 65. Should everything works, is configured properly, when you click on fine, you should see is now 65. So you know that your site B is working fine. So that's pretty straightforward of how to add a PG server on UCCE 10.5. And that will be the end for this particular lab, and I will see you in the next.